another edition of WBC Clown College shithousery. Rico Verhoeven, the WBC kickboxing champion, fighting Oleksandr Usyk. Paul, what the is that about?
Boxing doesn't sort of fail to surprise me nowadays, and it's probably always been the case. It's one of them things where people are complaining about the fact that he's fighting for the WBC title. I totally agree. I don't think he should be for any belt. Obviously, he's had literally, you know, been a kickboxer for a long time and not really done much in boxing at all to warrant a shot at Oleksandr Usyk when there's a queue so big. And
Indeed.
You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing. The people who are sitting waiting for their shot in line are going to be fuming over this. Some would say, to counter that argument, Usyk's probably earned the right to have an easier one after what he's done, and I do agree with that also. But I think just have that easy one and leave the belts out. But you know what the sanctioning bodies are like. There's a few percent to be had there from purses in there, so there's always going to be some form of belt on.
Dave, we'll come to you in a second, but let's have a listen to what Johnny Nelson said about it on talkSPORT the other day.
You look at him and you'll think financially, will he be in a better position than Tyson Fury? No, not in my opinion. Anthony Joshua? No, not in my opinion. The big money fights aren't out there for him, so he's got to do something. He's got to put himself in a position where he's got to win, because he's proved he's top draw. So in this fight here, I think it creates interest, intrigue. I'm quite sure there's a healthy pay packet at the end of it. This is now business for him. This is now because he's thinking, I've proved it all to you, so I've got to make as much as I can. Because remember, the talk was Deontay Wilder for a short while, because he wants to get all the scalps. He wants to look at the biggest names out there with the least amount of risk, and you can't blame him.
Do you agree with what Johnny's saying there, Dave?
Yeah and no, I guess. Like you said, we all say he deserves to go and do what he wants, but go and vacate all your belts. Go and let Caballel and Wardley and Dubois and all the rest of them fight for the belts. And if you want to go and do these exhibitions,
do it in your own time.
Go and do them.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in. I like Rico Verhoeven, sparred him, know him, nice fella, very good kickboxer, one of the best of all time. But he's not a boxer. If he wants to fight,
can he box?
Yeah, he can box. He's a very good boxer, but he shouldn't be boxing the best heavyweight in the world. If he wants to do it as an exhibition, go and do it. I'm not interested in Usyk Verhoeven just for the simple fact it's a mismatch.
Yep.
We've seen McGregor Mayweather. We've seen other cross-sport fights. They're not fights. They're glorified spars.
Yep.
Where the guy who's not a boxer gets hammered in the end. I mean, it's pointless.
It's surprising, isn't it? I mean, because one of the things that I think about Oleksandr Usyk is integrity and substance. And I remember reading the articles that when he did interviews in the Mail, and I keep on referencing it in conjunction with Oleksandr Usyk, where he talks about Anthony Joshua giving him an opportunity, which was the gatekeeper for everything he's come as a result of it. And I would have thought, maybe it's naive of me, that he would have done the same courtesy to heavyweights coming up that are trying to get into a position that he's gotten himself into. So in some sense, has he not let the sort of the boxing world and the heavyweight division down a little bit by this stance?
I think so, yeah, because, you know, you've got those young fighters like Moses Talma coming through. Fabio Wardley's been quite vocal about the fact that he wanted that shot at Oleksandr Usyk. And you go, that sort of makes more sense. Even the Deontay Wilder fight made sense because of what he said that he wanted to achieve, clearing up everyone of the modern era. I suppose, you know, the question to you, Simon, is, you know, where is the business sense in this one? Because you go, it's not like Francis Ngannou or Jake Paul where you go, there's a commercial value to that. With this guy, you go, like, is it globally sellable?
I mean, I tried to look at it in the rounds, thinking about what was the reason behind it. Now, given who's behind the event and given what they're trying to achieve, there must be a cross-pollination. There must be a reason. First of all, do we believe that actually they're going to create another belt like they did for Ngannou and Tyson Fury, and it's not going to be for the WBC Heavyweight Championship?
Well, I hope that's right, because, you know, for the integrity of the WBC, I think that they should do it. I mean, this kid's had one bout as a professional boxer. You go, so, you know, how can he jump the queue and box Oleksandr Usyk for the WBC title? To me, that doesn't make any sense at all, and I think it makes a mockery, again, of the WBC allowing that to happen. So
there must
let's hope there's some sort of diamond belt or
someone's
whatever
pulling their chain and someone's directing them down that way and making it worth their while for doing this. So obviously licensing fees, but there must be a commercial value in this. I don't know what the cross-fertilisation is. I can't look at it and go, well, there's a natural fit here. This is a a very profiled personality that's got lots of followers around the world, like Jake Paul had in his own little space, and I can see how the monetization vehicle of this works. But Usyk wouldn't be doing this unless there's a reason for it. There must be a motivation behind it. It must be some form of derivative as to what happened between the various disciplines crossing over with Ngannou and Tyson Fury, albeit the Tyson Fury and Ngannou opportunity opened the doors to Saudi and created that particular flood. But the WBC thinking over the years, what we've watched them do, is not making mandatories, making cases for people that have failed drugs tests and giving them a leg up in their own thinking. And now we see this sort of spectacle. In my mind, and as you as boxers, I thought, besides the WBA being for me the ultimate belt, because that was the belt that I felt that Muhammad Ali's of the world were always focused on, the WBC belt carries such cachet and kudos. They're diminishing themselves, aren't they, in this by doing this, Spence?
I think so, definitely, yeah. I think that it's unacceptable, really, to allow a guy, that's only had one fight, and you've got all these fighters in line, and you're talking about Agit Kabayels,
Lawrence Okolis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All waiting for that opportunity, and all of a sudden this kid jumps the queue, and I get it.
But it's Usyk's choice, isn't it?
I would understand it more if there was a commercial value to it. But
there must be, Spence.
Yeah, but no. I think the value to it is the people that are behind it. We know Riyad Seed and Turki Al-Sheikh, TKO are behind it, so they may be just throwing Oleksandr Usyk a stack load of money, and Van Herven, whatever he's going to get, might be a fraction of that, but that's where it is. Well, and maybe they lose money on it, but what is the value in it?
If you can throw 15 million at Conor Benn, and we'll get into him a little bit later, then I'm sure you can find some money to cross-fertilise two disciplines.
Do you not think this venue is part of the sale also? The Giza, the pyramids, Egypt.
Absolutely,
There's a lot behind that, obviously, as well. But as you said, it's not someone on the level of Francis Ngannou from another discipline. Francis Ngannou was a huge star in the UFC, and he was very relevant at the time and current at the time, and he held his own. I'm not saying Rico won't hold his own, but with regards to crossover style and and crossover status, he's not as known as much as he spends.
I think the venue is first class. It's great that we're going to all these different venues and seeing these different things, and they're creating new opportunities everywhere. I love that, but it's like you do have to have an opponent with a little bit of substance there, and for me, it doesn't really carry the weight.
In principle, our main objection is that we've seen it in previous incarnations. We saw, as I mentioned, Ali a moment ago, fighting in the 70s against, was it Andre the Giant or someone of that nature, a sumo wrestler. There's no problem with these guys doing this because, to some extent, as Paul alluded to, they've made the right to do it.
Yeah.
The challenge for us is in terms of what is holding up and the fact that the WBC are allowing themselves to have their reputation slightly blemished by gimmicks, because it is just a gimmick, isn't it?
Well, I think you nailed it there. It's the WBC with their involvement in this one. If they allow this to go ahead as a WBC World Heavyweight title fight,
I don't think.
you go, that's where you lose your value. I mean, you sparred Rico. You know what sort of level he's at, where he's at. Is he worthy of fighting for the WBC World Heavyweight Championship?
I sparred him a long time ago now. We actually lived together for a short time in Bolton. We were being both trained by Peter Fury. I got a knock on my door actually in my flat, and I opened the door expecting one of my housemates. And I opened the door to the biggest man I've ever seen in my life, and it was Rico Verhoeven. And I said, "Who are you?" And he went, "I'm Rico." And I said, "Oh, right then. That's all right then. You can knock on my door anytime." It was absolutely ginormous. But I sparred him. It was a long time, but he was good. He was a good boxer, very competent. It was hard work. I was only a young man at the time, and I'm sure he's an even better boxer now, and he's probably one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. That's my understanding of him. But I don't know about commercial value. I don't know about all this stuff. But all I know is it's not a good fight. It's not what I'm interested in. It's Mayweather McGregor. I was intrigued by. It was like the first big crossover fight that I'd seen. There was,
wasn't it?
I knew it was a mismatch, but I was intrigued by it.
McGregor was a global star. That's what I'm talking about.
But I'm not interested in commercial stuff. I'm not interested in money that other people are making that I can't spend. All I know is it's a poor fight. Usyk, vacate all your belts, do your exhibitions. If you want to come back and win your belts, come back and win them. But give your Kabayels and your other fighters a chance of winning these world titles.
In the event that he's not going to do that, right? Once we get over and past this and see it for what it is, and it gets whatever it gets from it, Who's he got to fight next in your mind's eye?
KBL or the winner of Wardley Dubois.
Right.
And I'm sure no one wants to see Usyk Dubois 3, but if he beats Wardley, he's back in line again to try and unify. If it's not the winner of that, it has to be KBL, in my opinion.
I mean, doesn't it more likely look like if when Wardley fights Dubois, the winner of that fights Fury, and then Fury has a backstory for 3? Because I've got a belt, you've got 2 belts.
That's the roadmap. That is the roadmap.
Usyk Fury 3. Look, I'll friends with Tyson for a long time, and I like Usyk. No one wants to watch that. No one's interested. They've done it twice. No one's bothered. I don't think anyone's bothered.
I don't want to see any of them. I don't want to see Usyk Fury or Usyk Dubois, because the two of them for me were conclusive.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in out of it. Usyk is out there on his own, and as Dave just said, he is holding the belt up. But what I'm saying and why I'm trying to defend this in a way is because he's earned that right by doing what he's done. He's been. Look at his last 5 or 6 fights. No one could begrudge him having one easy touch, and it will be a very easy touch in my opinion. But as you say, the WBC, in my opinion, have no business sanctioning it as a world title fight.
The history of the sport, Paul, you go like, yeah, he has earned that right, but you go, he's also in a position here where someone like KBL's been waiting a long time, and he's been the underdog in a lot of fights, come through and earned that right. You go, this is the way the sport works.
Should work.
You know? It's the way it should work. You know what I mean?
It's up to them.
Meritocracy.
It's up to them to now protest and now fire the letters in and look. I've been waiting patiently.
Of those protecting what is theirs and becoming very diva-ish about it that's being made about those that want to keep their opportunity and deny the others, which surprises me that Usyk falls into that camp. We'll see.
You said a while ago, didn't you? Obviously, you'd expect Usyk to treat the up-and-comers like Dubois, like Wardley, with the same courtesy that he was given when he got given a shot.
Well, the only caveat to that I might add is, besides the fact I give Anthony Joshua lots of props for doing it, and obviously lots of cachet to Oleksandr Usyk for mentioning it. The reason why Joshua took him is because he thought he was a cruiserweight coming up and he'd get him early, right, before he grew into himself. So there was that other side of the argument. Tyson back in the ring, fighting Makhmudov. You've had a clear vision of him. Is this a good fight for Tyson? Good test?
Yeah, I'm not sure really. I boxed Makhmudov. I've never won the British title, and I really thought on another night I would have beat him. He wasn't miles and he wasn't levels above me. I boxed Luis Ortiz. He was fantastic. Even David Price was better than Makhmudov. He was dangerous, can punch, and with Tyson having that amount of time out, and nearing 40, of course it's a dangerous fight. But Makhmudov he's not a world-class fighter. I know he's not. I've been in world-class fighters in the ring and in the gym, and he's not a world-class fighter. He's a very dangerous fighter, but he's not a world-class one.
Don't you think it's a good yardstick though for Tyson to see that he's still at that level and to get the ring rust off? Because he's going to get the rounds against Makhmudov, isn't he? He's not like he's going to go out there and blow him away early, because Makhmudov's a tough guy early. You know, he sort of gets, as the fight wears on, he wears down a little bit. But those early rounds, like, you've got to be very, very careful. For me, like Tyson being out of the ring as long as he has, you go, that's a relatively dangerous opponent to come back to.
Yeah, I think Makhmudov's dangerous. I would describe him as dangerous. I wouldn't describe him as a world-class heavyweight.
Yeah.
He's dangerous. He's perfect for Tyson. Tyson Fury from 2 or 3 years ago. From 2 or 3 years ago, Makhmudov is the perfect fall guy for a comeback. But it's just age in inactivity. But he shouldn't have any problems. If he has problems with Makhmudov,
then he's got a problem full stop, hasn't
he? Yeah, he's gone.
That's the thing as well. Age might come into that always. I'm always talking about it, but you just don't know until you get in there.
Do you think there's any likelihood? I mean, you just opened that subject. I'll question you very quickly on it. Is there any likelihood that Tyson will have gotten old? I mean, the 2 fights against Usyk were challenging fights for him. Probably the most challenging. Well, short of the first fight against Deontay Wilder, probably the most challenging fights he's been in. And he's been out for a while. He doesn't live the best way in terms of the disciplines that other fighters have to deploy to keep themselves in the best nick. Is it a distinct possibility that we could see Tyson go old overnight?
I don't think he's done himself any favours having the layoff. And if he stayed ticking over in the background, which he looks in okay shape when we saw him before his camp start, I'm sure he'd be in brilliant shape on fight night. I don't think it does him any favours having the layoff that he does. I think the best thing for Tyson would be to have stayed active. Yeah. For me, the most alarming was the Ngannou fight and the performance of the Ngannou fight, and that showed signs for me. And then he obviously was better than that later. But I hope it isn't the case. It wouldn't be nice to see him go out to someone who, as Dave just said, Tyson should be beating someone like Makhmudov pretty straightforwardly and convincingly.